In the last few weeks, Plateau State has become a hotbed of violence with killings going on almost on a daily basis.
More than 100 people were killed in the last week of June, sparking wide condemnation, protests and calls for a change of Nigeria's security chiefs. But all of this and the deployment of additional troops to the troubled state has not or have not deterred trigger-happy gunmen from killing. On Saturday night and the early hours of Sunday, suspected herders again struck in Mangu and Barikin Ladi communities in spite of the dusk to dawn curfew imposed by the state government.
This latest attack claimed the lives of 10 people, extending the days of bloodshed and mourning of the Plateau people into the new month. 17 houses, including a church and hospital, were torched. Assurances from the federal government that it is handling the situation has failed to quell the people's anger and cries for justice. The question on the lips of many remain: when will the wanton killings of Nigerians for no apparent reason end? Let's now bring in the National Publicity Secretary and Middle Belt Forum, Isua Dogo. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Right. You were giving us a different dimension to Ngozi. When I saw that we're going to talk about these killings again today, I asked myself, what angle again are we going to take a look at?
Other than the angles that we have been talking about all this while. But obviously you do have a different angle to it, though it has been re-echoed over and over again in certain quarters. Talk to us about these latest killings, in spite of, number one, the curfew that's been imposed there, and the assurances coming from the federal government that it is doing everything it can to actually end this.
Let me start by saying that using the word killing is belittling the situation. There is a deliberate, consistent, planned ethnic cleansing, genocide, that if care is not taken, Rwandan issue will be a child's play. The issue of exterminating the Jews would have been a child's play. And there is a deliberate, consistent attempt to eliminate every single soul in the Middle Belt. It is not just Plateau. We have seen how long it has taken in the Plateau. We have seen what was happening in Benue. It started from southern Kaduna. We can see the Adamawa issue. We can see it extended to Enugu. We can see it extended to Koyi. We can see what is happening in Zamfara. We can see what happened in Bruningwari, in the other part of Kaduna State. And across the country, it is going to happen unless something happens.
Is this not
when the government changes,
is this not conspiracy theory going on? Is it not just really a question of economic survival?
No.
That unfortunately
it's not an issue of economic survival. There is what you call gaslighting.
Yes.
Gaslighting, if you check Wikipedia, you will see it's a consistent manipulation of the mind, the perception of people to make them believe what doesn't exist. And that is why the term herdsmen is used. But there is a deliberate, consistent, planned execution of ethnic cleansing and a deliberate plan to Islamize Nigeria. In fact, I can tell you Nigeria is already an Islamic country.
So when you say...
please, let me land this. By the time you say that a country is a theocratic state, there are 4 key ingredients of a theocratic state. When the seaport, the airport, the customs, and the immigration is not the army, is not the air force, is not the police as people generally believe. But these 4, they determined who comes in. They determined who goes out. They determine what comes in. They determine what goes out.
Yes.
So that system becomes a theocratic state. So it is not the perception an average person feels that, look, oh, the Air Force, oh, the Army, oh, the this. No.
All right, Doctor.
But these are this. And what I want you to know the use of Fulani herdsmen is that deliberate attempt to brainwash the lies that are being told to believe that, look, you have herdsmen and farmers clash. There are no herdsmen-farmers clash. Do you have herdsmen in the church? Do you, as you have just mentioned now, are there farmers in the church? Are there children and women, those people that are killed and burned in their houses, were they in the farms?
All right, Doctor.
Will those children not have existed and lived if it was the farmers' herders clash?
All right, Doctor, you must allow us come in intermittently so that we make it conversational. You say there is a deliberate attempt to exterminate the people or ethnic cleansing within the region. And my question is, by who?
And
of
to
course,
what end?
By the terrorists, by the Islamists, by those who feel absolutely that Nigeria should be Islamized. And what I am saying
and
is,
who are these people?
Well, the authorities probably know them. They are there. Those people that come out to defend and to tell Nigerians that, oh, they are also at the receiving end. In the name of Miati Allah or Mbank, they are the terrorists. They know them. They know where they live. They know what they are doing. They know how they get their arms. They know their targets. They have their plans. And that is why it is so systematic and consistent. And that is why the lies, herdsmen, has gone into the minds of Nigerians and the international community so as to reduce the effect or the perception of people for what you call maximum impact of their plans. It is a manipulation of the mind. That is, you are telling somebody something consistently to make the person even ceases to believe in himself. And you start thinking the way they are saying, the way they are acting,
and you think that is what
doing.
Is happening in Nigeria now.
But
is that not a dangerous dimension or view to actually take? Don't you think that Nigeria is actually paying the price of one, for example, not properly educating these people who have turned out to, believe that their lives don't mean anything, that as a matter of fact, their cows mean far much more to them. Because after all, if they don't sell their cows, if their cows don't graze, the chances of them surviving are very, very slim. And so imagine, for example, that government is saying, look, the way to go is cattle ranching. Let us set up ranches in different parts of the country, provide the basic amenities, good education and all of that. Don't you think that with education, for example, these people would have, had the ability and the capacity to actually process thoughts, now, to actually understand that their cows are not more important than human beings?
That those who are doing it are illiterates. And that is the lie.
But is that not the fact?
No, that is the lie I am trying to disprove. That it is not what you are thinking. What it is the elite that are planning and using keen into the concept of herdsmen to make you and I believe that it's a simple thing. But what is happening is worse than Boko Haram. The people that have been killed in the Middle Belt and other parts of Nigeria in this year alone is more than what has happened in the Boko Haram region. And so Doctor, that cannot be herdsmen.
And Doctor, does it make any meaning to you what the President said earlier during his visit to the United States, that the country has been somewhat infiltrated by some of the elements who came from Libya after the war in Libya? So that I'm just trying to situate it with what you are saying, that there is a deliberate attempt by people within the country to exterminate people within that region. Does it make any meaning to you that this also could be perpetrated by these elements that have infiltrated the country from other parts of
Who invited them? How did they come into the country? That is exactly what I've just said, isn't it? That when you talk of these things, you know who invited them. How did they come into the country? Who supplies the arms? They came, they walked through the borders of Nigeria with their guns, and they chose to come to the Middle Belt to exterminate us. Why didn't they start from, is the Middle Belt, does it have border with Libya or the northern part? they will have passed several states from up north before coming to the middle belt. So it simply, what you are saying simply corroborates what I'm saying.
And you don't think
there are people who have brought them,
yeah,
and they know their targets, they have chosen their targets, and the target is the middle belt. But
you don't think that climate change that has affected the northern part of the country, you have massive desertification going on in the north, and because the middle belt is a rich, fertile part of the country, it is only natural that they will tend to go in that direction.
There is
to feed their cattle.
This is rainy season.
Yes.
So how manage? You will say that there is no grass any other part of the north except the middle belt. And can you say that from Bauchi, Gombe, and other parts before reaching Just, there is no grass? Is it possible? That is not true. And you can see the plant, whether it is rainy season, it has not been restricted to rainy season or dry season.
But way before
it has
the
been
rainy
systematic
season
and consistent throughout since 2011. Do you see it? So that is why I'm saying is the manipulation of the mind. They use those theories to make you believe that what it is, but it is not.
Mayeti Allah has over time,
they are the terrorists.
Even with the latest developments in Plateau State, have said, look, government has not even been fair to us. The generality of the public has not been fair to that. They've actually been vilified for all the violent activities, going on in the country. That, as a matter of fact, there have been instances from the time that you cited, 2010, 2011, where their cattle were rustled. They didn't feel safe anymore. So it became the only option for them was, look, how do we protect ourselves as we take our cattle to graze across, across borders, whether within Nigeria or from outside of the country?
About 120 cattle that were taken away. Did I go to kill somebody because of that? I didn't have to. And what I'm trying to tell you, and now
it boils back to the point that I'm trying to make, that those people have not been well educated. The nomadic education that was provided in the past seems to have failed.
Please, listen to me. I want you to understand is not the normal local Fulanis. These are mercenaries, terrorists, well planned by the elite. They are not the local, simple-minded Fulani man that carries a stick with his heart. They are not the ones. Do you see it? Where do you see the cows when they are moving? Where do you see their families? Have you seen their children? Have they shown anything? And if they say that they are also victims, tell me their local huts that anybody from the middle belt has gone to bond. But you have seen our houses, you have seen our wives and children, our grandfathers and great-grandfathers, our young men and women raped, killed, mutilated. You can see them. Let them show how that has happened to them.
All right, Doctor.
Because they are, if the Mayati, Allah or Mbang, isn't it? They make those kind of theories. It simply keys into what I said at the initial stage, gaslighting. That is to brainwash people into believing they are equally victims. So that consistent lie, that consistent contraption of deceit is what they are using to make the international community, not only Nigerians, to believe that there is anything like Fulani herdsmen clash. That doesn't exist. It's a terrorist. It is these people have an Islamic agenda at which they are executing, which it will go to every part of Nigeria if it is not arrested now.
Doctor, sorry.
Yes.
The federal, beg your pardon, in the wake of all of this, the president himself has come out, he visited the region, and then he said, look, all of those responsible for the crisis and their sponsors would be brought to justice.
Now, we have hundreds of our villages occupied by these people. Why have those security agencies not gone to displace them? Why have they not arrested them? And if a person comes to support an action, doesn't that mean the person is involved? So if Mayati Allah and Imbam and they are claiming and saying, though, it's retaliation, or because they wrestle our cars, or because
that statement credited to Mayati Allah, that's Chiroma. He has denied
refuted.
it, and the media house that, I mean, whose reporter
has
made that assertion has also been dealt with.
Please. I think we should face the reality. It is not once or twice or 3 or 4 times. Many of them have said that they are defending or there is retaliation. It has severally been said and done. And I am saying in our villages, they are there occupying the villages. So do you need a soothsayer to say, okay, those must be the terrorists? Why are they occupying our villages?
Okay, so
why are they burning our houses? And
those are questions that we continue to ask on this show every day, day in, day out. If we're to go by your theory that there is a bigger agenda by some elite who want to take over the lands, you know, according to you, they want to Islamize and all of that, what then would be your solution to this? What will be the kind of pushback that you want to give, especially with the security chiefs that people have been saying they need to be sacked?
Let me tell you.
Yes.
I do not know what language I will use, but do we need to even tell anybody what should be done? If I have said they are occupying our villages, they see them, they are there claiming that they are responsible and they did A, B, C, D, isn't it? If that is the case, why wouldn't they simply go and arrest them? If you say that we have retaliated or is retaliation, like somebody was saying yesterday, something of that nature, and the question is, tell me where in the Middle Belt that anybody went first to a Fulani hut to go and kill the Fulanis or burned it. Let them show it to me.
Are you saying there has been no such instances?
No, you say that the killing is in retaliation. Retaliation to what? It presupposes that something like that happened. Then you are going to retaliate. So let them show that there is any form of something like that that we did ab initio before the retaliation.
Okay, let's try to
take
move.
For example,
yes.
Somebody said, oh, they killed 800 Fulanis in Taraba. If they killed 800 Fulanis in Taraba, we only heard after they have gone to destroy, to kill, to maim, and all whatnot. Where are the mass graves? How many did they show? Where are the pictures? And all whatnot. Will it be said that they don't have the ability to do that? The answer is no, because these are people that live in the cities. Do you see it? They don't live in the huts. And so the question to say that they couldn't do so is not possible. And at that material time, remember, there was an issue in Taraba, and the Minister of Interior and another minister, and was it Chief of Army Staff or so, and some other top government officials quickly visited there. Where were the pictures showing the massacre of those people in Taraba?
All right, Doctor, she asked you a question. What is the solution? Because it's not enough to continue to theorize about it.
Answered the question.
And what was the answer?
The answer is that those people occupying our villages, those people claiming to have done all these things, must first and foremost be arrested, tried according to the law codes, and let them tell us why they are doing so.
Dr.
They are continuously, consistently, perpetually killing us, and we are running. And then we'll have a narration, Fulani farmers clash, which doesn't exist.
Dr. Dogo, I'm trying to recall the question that I'm actually trying to ask you now.
Ask it, I will answer
okay, now, you're a stakeholder yourself, and in the wake of the killing of the 100 or so, people in Plateau, let me put this in.
About 268 people.
There you go. The numbers have been, varying till date. We're not too sure of the numbers other than what the police has told us. 86 or 87 people have been killed. Unfortunately, for one Nigerian to be killed is bad enough. But the stakeholders on ground in Plateau State, they have actually put some blame on the state government, saying that the governor, Simon Lalong, has not been, engaging enough with the security operatives on ground. Is that a possibility? Is there any role that the state governments can actually play to actually check this instead of leaving it to the federal government alone?
That is also a lie, because we have had military in Plateau. Are you getting me?
Yes.
For a long time now, will they say that it's the state governor that should go and tell them what to do? If he is supposed to tell them, why is he not in uniform and patrolling everywhere? What his engagement can only be in providing menial support if there is need for it. But there is even no need for any governor to do that, because they are self-sufficient in whatever it is, and they should carry it out. And I've said here, if they know where these people occupy several villages and they fail to arrest them, listen, we saw a picture of a young man saying that when there was 24-hour curfew, they saw armed people with the so-called terrorists going about, killing. And to buttress that, a similar thing happened in Kafanchan, December 24th, 2016. Do you get it? You see, the mistake Nigerians are making is this. Whether you talk of the far north or the south, is that it is the middle belt that holds this country to be Nigeria today. If the middle belt ceases to exist, there will be no Nigeria. It is the thread that links this north and south and Nigeria. You call this Marsland a country. And so thinking that you will destroy the middle belt and there will still be Nigeria, it wouldn't happen.
So are you saying that the middle belt is only a means to an end, that there's a bigger picture?
In absolute
it's not
terms,
necessarily
that is the way
about
I think.
the middle belt.
Otherwise, you don't have that, you wouldn't need that systematic attack. Look, how much is an AK-47? I was told that an AK-47 goes for about 300,000. In the north, it means the Fulani man will have to sell about 6 cows to buy one. Who trains them? An average Fulani man, you, with your knowledge, you can't hold an AK-47 and start shooting. You must be trained. And let me say, where do they get the ammunitions? How do they? So the average local Fulani man, we are living together.
All right, Doctor, you are the National Publicity Secretary, Middle Belt Forum. I remember that in the olden days, when there is crisis within a community, there is usually, there were usually measures taken by community heads to ensure that these issues are resolved.
And the traditional
institutions and all of that come together, put heads together, dialogue and find solutions. As the Publicity Secretary, Middle Belt Forum, has your organization been involved in any of such to ensure that the crisis on ground at the moment is resolved?
It means you're not getting me, because there are no issues. When you have terrorists who are out, will you attempt going to them? You will be exterminated in the next second. So there is no issue of issues. Issues don't exist. What are the issues? Are we quarreling over anything? The answer is no. Did we go to their places? The answer is no. They came to our homes. They came to our villages. We simply hear pop, 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 pop in the night and any other time, and they're killing people. So what are the issues?
So
there are no issues.
Okay, what you're saying then is there is no...
us. Like the extermination of the Jews. They probably want to exterminate, Hitler exterminated 6 million. Probably they want to exterminate 66 million of the Middle Belt people. And I tell you, there will be no Nigeria.
All right.
Because
now that
it
you
is
say
the Middle Belt that is holding Nigeria together.
Yeah, we do understand that. Now that you say that there's no possible solution to come from within, whether it is the Middle Belt or even from the bigger picture, the security chiefs, well, some have said they're not...
That. The security chiefs, the government, they have the solution. And it is obvious. And that is why I said, if those people are occupying our villages, and they know them, and they know the villages, and some of them claim on television like this, that look, we did retaliation, or it was for this, and all whatnot, then who can possibly be deemed to What other solution
would you be amenable? Would you be amenable to suggestions that government should seek some kind of external or foreign assistance in dealing with this, not just the herdsmen killings, but of course Boko Haram killings in the northeast? Thankfully, that seems to have, you know, subsided somewhat. Would you agree with those who are saying we need to, you know, look beyond the shores of Nigeria for help? By
subsiding, because we know that on a continuous and regular basis we have suicide bombing. All the Boko Haram have done is to change their tactics. Do you see it? A terrorist organization does not evolve one particular way. Do you see it? They are not there to in a conventional war. So by the time you say, oh, they are not coming to the town to spray bullets, but they are there killing people in their hundreds through suicide.
All right, Doctor.
So where has it subsided?
The anti-grazing law, if properly implemented, in your opinion, do you think that would also be some form of solution to the crisis?
Oh, no, it is not. Because a terrorist has nothing, grazing law has nothing to do with that. And I did tell you this thing started in earnest in southern Kaduna. Was there any anti-grazing law in southern Kaduna? Is there anti-grazing law, you know, in the Zamfara? Or is there anti-grazing law in Taraba, or in Kogi, or in Enugu, or in the Edo? We are asking this question, if you can answer me. So it has nothing to do with grazing. That is what I want you to understand. And that is what I am saying. It is what you call gaslighting. They are using this to brainwash an average person who is not thinking out of the box to believe that it's Fulani herdsmen clash.
So it's just government that has a solution.
It is government that has the solution, and they know what to do. And they can do it. The Nigerian armed forces and the police, they are among the best in the world. If they are given the proper atmosphere to operate, they will do it. I can bet it with you that the Nigerian security forces remove the political manipulations. They have the ability to crush every single criminal act in Nigeria within days.
So is there a sense in which you agree with the former Army General, Theophilus Danjuma?
In absolute truth, I believe in what he said. And even before he said it, that is why I told you that in 2016, that is what happened in Kafanchan, where our people said they asked them and they said they had not been given orders. There was 24-hour curfew. The 24-hour curfew existed. Where did the people come from? They were busy massacring our people in Kafanchan. Do you get it? So, if the security that passed to Kafanchan was alive, how did they get there? Remember, it is not in the bush. So it is not a farm.
What I'm reading from what you're saying is that the security forces have not been given the tools to actually fight this war to the hilt.
No, not that they have not been given the tools.
Okay.
They are not allowed to do it. That is my view.
Because?
That is my view, that look, the security forces are under the control of those political class who have refused to give them the free hand to do what they are supposed to do.
What do you think this
is?
How does this information, what are Nigerians supposed to make of this information, which, I mean, you are re-echoing what a lot of people have been fearing, that there might be some, you know, a bigger picture to all of this. What should the average Nigerian be doing with this kind of, you know, view, if it was something that we should actually take up?
The view, what we are doing here is exactly
what Will there not be some kind of conflagration if everybody believes that, look, this is an agenda to force a certain religion on the generality of the populace?
Well, interestingly, I want to say it here without fear of any contradiction.
Yes.
That a terrorist, these terrorists, are not going to select Christians alone. When Boko Haram started, they were burning churches.
And mosques too.
No, they started by burning only churches and killing only Christians. And I remember I categorically said in one particular interview that every single sensible, reasonable, you know, Muslim and Christian should come together to fight this evil. It is not going to stop at middle belt. Are you getting me? Mm-hmm. So any Muslim who feels that, look, it is an issue of killing Christians is making a mistake. The terrorists will turn. It is what they are using the principle of divide
and rule.
And rule.
Okay.
You see? So they will kill both the Christians and the Muslims alike.
I guess that's a good place to leave it. That's a good place to leave it. Dr. Isua B. Dogo is the National Publicity Secretary of the Middle Belt Forum. Thank you so much for joining us. And we do hope that for the sake of Nigeria and Nigerians, that government really can find a lasting solution to this. Thank you so much for joining us.
But very shortly, should they be declared terrorist organization?
In absolute terms, what they are doing is worse than what Boko Haram is doing.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.